cinematography is powerful.
やっぱり
After all, when you really break it down, it's often responsible for crafting the shots, both in anime and outside of it, that we love the most. Despite this, it's not something you'll hear discussed very often. In everyday conversation, it's fairly common for cinematography to be bundled in with the animation quality of a work, leaving it to be something that is all too often overlooked, regardless of its prevalence in a scene. And if there's one aspect of cinematography that gets overlooked the most in anime, it's probably the lighting. Yet, while it may be one of the subtlest cinematic techniques, it's also one of the most impactful ways a director can communicate a message, visually speaking. Lighting directly affects our experience of a moment, and when handled well, can become part of the overall atmosphere we take away from an anime. But before we jump into the deep end, let's take a look at lighting from the ground up.
On your mark.
At the most basic level, lighting's implementation in anime directly contributes to the general aesthetics of a scene. It's used to add a splash of life that often defines some of our favourite shows. Just take a look at the vibrancy it provides in Non Biyori if you want an example. Lighting is used to evoke the natural beauty of the countryside, and in doing so, make the setting matter so much more to our enjoyment of the series. Sometimes, lighting completely enthralls the viewer with overpronounced vividness that contrasts other shots, grabbing our attention and making important moments feel more genuine and memorable. On the other end of the spectrum, a dimly lit shot or the specific focusing of light on a character, object, or even setting often sets the unsettling nature of a thriller or horror. I think that covers the basics pretty competently, and you are probably well aware of everything I said because we see it in pretty much everything we watch. But in the moment, we just don't give it that much thought, which makes a lot of sense. A subtle cinematic tool is obviously going to have more of a subconscious impact than anything else. That really can't be helped, but the last thing we should be doing is bundling lighting with animation quality when we discuss why we enjoyed the visual aspects of the moments we like. Lighting is its own thing that can have a separate impact to animation or even other cinematic techniques. Now that seems like a clear message that I could end the video on, but I don't want to leave it here. After all, I made some bold claims on what exactly lighting can be used for when handled by a talented director. As we're talking about visuals here, I think it's better to show you than tell you. If you've seen Hibike Euphonium, this scene is likely one that's burnt into your memory, powerfully displaying Kumako's response to failure, but you've probably never given any real thought to just how great the lighting was, with the bright yellow midtones produced by the passing cars and street lighting contrasting perfectly with the blues of the water and the night sky, producing a highly reflective surface, which in turn provides the ideal backdrop for a highly self-reflective moment. It creates a bubble of heightened realism, placing the viewer perfectly inside the mind of Kumiko and allowing us to resonate with her experience on a very real level. What this really illustrates is that lighting can be used to add so much more to a shot than you'd initially think. It's not just a case of imposing a binary effect on tone. It's something Kyoto Animation Works, particularly those under the oversight of Naoki Yamada, nail every time. Lighting becomes just as important as it is to a cinematographer working in live action, with probably my personal favourite example being how it is used to paint the experience of enthrallment in the K-On! Movie. I don't know about you, but when you travel and see the world outside of the small bubble you've always been used to, you get this overwhelming sense of awe, this feeling of being amazed by something you've never seen, or rather felt before, the allurement of which is something perfectly encapsulated in the K-On! Movie. It's likely something transferred directly from Yamada's personal visit to London. She did insist on bringing out the lovely side of something foreign, after all. It's shots like this that really convey what that means. As you can hopefully tell from my accent, London is hardly a place that's foreign to me, but the experience of the K-on! Girls is something universal to people, and it's the portrayal of the feeling that is responsible for why I enjoy the movie as much as I do. It's also a feeling clearly communicated in the Love Live movie, with the glow and buzz of New York City acting as the perfect stage for Muse, additionally providing a great setting for Honoka's inner questioning. Most people believe that lighting is something that can only produce very static impacts on the viewer, either making a scene feel more warm or on the other end of the spectrum cold, but really, its uses are so much more creative than that. It can be central to our perception of what is being shown to us, and has a clear place in crafting our memories of shots and even entire series. In Nagi No Asukara, the mixing of colour temperatures is not only crucial for the stunning maritime atmosphere of the show, it is largely responsible for developing the distinct physical separation between the land and sea. Yet, at the same time, orange and blue are two colours which complement each other perfectly, evoking pictorial beauty in many instances. The uses of orange and blue certainly pair well with the themes of conflict in Nagi No Asukara, and the relationship between the colours mirrors the bond that arises later on between the sea and land dwellers. This is probably the subtlest use of lighting I've mentioned in this video, but often subtlety is what makes for some of the best cinematography. That tends to be true in regards to practical uses of lighting as well, with this scene from episode 1 of Kyousougiga being a great example. The focus of the lighting within the shot is to clearly showcase the seasons changing in the backdrop, and by extension the passage of time. All the while, the application of shading within the temple emphasizes the characters' interactions to showcase their flourishing relationship. All of this information is provided in a wholly visual way, with lighting being central to how it's being communicated. That is pretty impressive, but what about lighting becoming part of a character? For this, you have to look no further than possibly one of my favorite anime movies of all time, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. While on the surface, it appears that the overall tone of the movie is strictly emphasizing the season at hand, it's actually the unsaturated feel, darkness, and dominant winter colors that construct a world lacking the vibrancy of Haruhi. In a way, the lighting is a mirror into Kion's mind, amplifying his motives and adding depth to Kion's characterization in the world. That's something I'd probably write for a literature essay, but we also shouldn't forget that it's responsible for some beautifully crafted shots. The use of lighting in anime is obviously a vast subject, and I couldn't possibly cover it all in one video. After all, it is a cinematic tool which has no limit on what you can choose to do with it. Hopefully I've illustrated that, at least in part, with this video. But, if almost all uses of lighting in anime have one thing in common, it's the touch of magic it adds to the viewer experience. The truth is, lighting's use doesn't always have to mean something on a deeper level. What really matters is how it makes us feel in the moment. Whether being used to heighten our emotions during a high school graduation, fill a musical performance with energy, or make the realization of failure hold greater impact, lighting is always drawing us into the scene. Truth be told, it's providing our beloved 2D medium with a flare of life. That, to me anyway, is pretty important. So for something that often gets overlooked amidst other aspects of anime production, maybe it deserves just a little more attention than it gets. Because the way I see it, no matter how subtle its uses are, it's no secret that a lot of thought goes into lighting an anime. I've been Russ, and have a great night or day.